Okay.
And I thought maybe like a distressed jean jacket or maybe like a moto jacket. And then I thought, no, like a pair of leggings. And then maybe the butt is like anthropomorphic, and that's like the face, and it talks, and it says things like, leggings are pants, and you don't owe me, and I can wear this wherever I want, and like says like, you know, like empowering statements. And
so
like,
it would walk towards you, and you would see the front panel as normal. So would it be legs that had like tinier legs? Is that how it moved around?
Whoa.
no, it's just a pair of leggings,
And it would just walk up.
just kind of walks around and then says things.
And then it
like,
would turn around, and then you would
like,
see the face
don't
on
tell me what to do.
Empowered leggings butt.
Because
Okay.
like leggings are a thing that women are always told not to wear.
Yes.
I mean, did you just hear? This is like a thing that happened at a school district in Texas where the parents got given a dress code.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they were told like one of the things was they couldn't wear leggings
Right.
to school. And it's always that. It's like, leggings are pants. I can do whatever I want. And
All right.
equal pay.
Okay.
Or whatever.
All right,
It's
so
like
we need-
it's like an empowered pair of leggings or whatever.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Okay. All right. Maybe we can compromise, and so we can put leggings on my anthropomorphic squirrel.
I don't want it to
Okay.
be a squirrel.
Well, I don't want it to be just a pair of butt pants talking to people either.
Well, I thought maybe a pair of lips, but I thought that's so identified with Kylie Jenner's brand.
True.
You know, and then I thought
Or like the
eyes, but
Rolling
then I thought that's
Stones.
creepy,
Yeah.
you know? So then I thought maybe it needs to be an article of clothing or something. I don't know.
I would be okay if it was back to your jacket thing, and maybe there was a face or something on the jacket, and that's how it actually spoke. Because when I see,
Yeah.
when I'm envisioning a mascot, I feel like it's something that we need to be able to eventually create some sort of costume that a person could get in, and then that person could come and jump around
Oh
at
my
our
God.
events. So that's what it
Yeah.
is. So it has to be something that can somehow move around. So if we can make a blow-up pair of leggings, that's why I asked you, do the legs come out of the bottom?
The feet could be the bottom.
And then,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
And then, like, your head is somewhere. I don't know.
The head would be hidden. It doesn't have to have a head. I'm okay
Yeah.
with it just stopping. And you know,
I don't
like
know.
a-
We could come up with something else, but you
Right.
get what we're saying. What we're saying.
All
I mean,
right.
the
I'm
funny
picking up
thing
the beat
about
you're laying
leggings
down.
is it could just say like empowering things out of it.
Empowering.
empowering.
Leggings butt. Okay.
Fair enough. We do a lot of squats. We should go ahead and do that. So that works.
We can name it squat.
All right.
Leggings squat.
That is today's edition of Product Displacement. Again, Product Displacement today is brought to you by Brainfire, courtesy of enthusiastic women's wellness coach Sandy Waters. And now a word from Sandy.
Hi, I'm Sandy Waters. I deal in wellness, and I have a deal for you. As an expert in women's health, I keep my ear to the ground. And there's one thing I hear from women all the time. I wish I had the strength and intelligence of an African bush elephant. Sounds familiar, right? That's why I created my dietary super supplement, Brainfire. It's made from natural ingredients, things you find in the earth or whatever. The point is, if you're a woman and you potentially need to move fast, you need Brainfire. It comes in a convenient powder. Just add it to whatever you're drinking. Stir. When it turns neon orange, it's time to take a sip. When the inside of your head starts to tingle, you know it's working. Brainfire, for the enthusiastic user in all of us.
Brought to you by Enthusiastic Women Online, We Birth Success. All right, thank you very much, Sandy. I do feel like I need that. It's been kind of a week, and I was feeling a little bit tired, so my brain could help with a little brain fire. Now it is time for our next segment. Did you see this? Did you see this? Now, ladies, I remember when I first saw this article earlier this week, and it was one that made me want to throw my phone, because we have on numerous occasions talked about things that we think are tone deaf at best and whitewashing at worst. And so the most recent Ancestry.com campaign to try and get because the thing about Ancestry.com and this particular article, and the reason why it made me so mad, and I did go back and look at the ad, is that recently Ancestry.com tried to spark a campaign that was trying to encourage a market that they normally don't have, which is more African Americans to use their products. Right now, most of the people seem to be of European descent. And so they came up with a brand new campaign that featured, in many people's opinion, what seemed to be a black woman who was then being romantically pursued by a white man, and it depicted them back during the slave-owning South. So I actually can play a piece of that so you can hear what they meant, and then just imagine that the male voice that you hear is... at best we can call him an abolitionist. Is that being nice if I call him that versus a slave owner? But he is in a romantic relationship with a black woman, and it sounds like this.
Abigail, we can escape to the north. There's a place we can be together across the border. Will you leave with me?
And then romantic music plays. It's supposed to be all great. And I thought this, again, if I am trying to be an apologist for Ancestry.com, which is not my job, they do not give me any money, and I am not going to try and make them feel better about this. Then I could go, okay, well, potentially, I know that this storyline has maybe happened in 1 out of a million particular cases back then. But most of the characterizations, I think, really does whitewash history. Yes. And it does really just play down the fact that there is a reason why a lot of people who use the Ancestry.com product and the 23andMe and all of those things happens to be of European descent. And I actually got in this particular argument with a girlfriend of ours when we were off on our women's holiday.
I remember that.
Yes, and so I had to, because it was one of those things where another mutual friend of ours.
This is why when I saw this, I instantly thought about you.
Yes.
And sent this story to you immediately. But anyways, go on.
So while we were on our women's holiday, a number of our friends who do happen to be of European descent were talking about how they had gone off and were so excited because they had done the 23andMe type thing and looked into their background. And it turned into them basically bugging me, who happens to be black, and a girlfriend of ours who happens to be Native, that why we weren't into doing this. And we were trying to politely, because they are our girlfriends and wine was involved, and so we didn't mean to drag them, but they wouldn't let it go.
Wow. Right.
And so I think that so many people take it out of historic context that it's different when you have this romanticized Ellis Island upbringing. When you go, okay, well, I want to talk about my family, and I'm not sure where they came from, and we grew up in New Jersey, but that's not where we're from. When it's different when you come from, in particular, either a Native American ancestry or from a Black American ancestry, when I have the auntie that figured out what plantation we grew up on, and then reminding people that from a best case scenario, I can sit there and go, yeah, okay, cool. If I go back to I was in this particular tribe in Africa, cool. You still planked my people in a ship and brought me here against our will. Yep. Worst case scenario, I can sit there and go, I'm very proud of this other place that I came from in Africa. And then the worst of us can sit there and look at me and go, well, if you're so proud of it, why don't you go back there?
Right.
So, of course, there's not the same context as to why I feel this need to go and buy one of these products.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I have goosebumps all over my body listening to you talk about this.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay, so this ad was taken down
off
of Ancestry almost immediately. And the thing that I'm just shocked at, which once again shows the advertising agency must not have people of color working on this, the company must not have people of color. This was their attempt to try to get more people of color, in particular Black people, African American people, to get DNA testing. Mm-hmm. And the thing that just slaps even me in the face is, why would they want to advertise as a thing you might have white ancestors?
Right. Mm-hmm.
That's exciting because that's all they're telling you.
Right.
Yep.
Is that this would be something that would be proud.
Look how exciting. I mean, that is such a white person's point of view.
Right.
Absolutely it is. And
it's bizarre.
It is so bizarre. And coming from marketing, always immediately ask, who is the real audience for this?
And just let me say, that's the best case scenario.
Correct.
Right.
That's the worst case scenario is everything that you just said.
Right.
The best case scenario is, oh my God, what? I might have somebody white in my family? I better get DNA tested.
And
that's what they thought was the good side.
I think that it was both, because I was also looking and saying, well, if their target audiences, they do want to get additional, because a lot of this, I felt like it was also making it okay for some of their clientele who was white, who then found out that they had some sort of African DNA in them as well. They were going, well, here's what it is. Here's a romantic reason why this happened, versus going, well, maybe one of your ancestors raped a slave. They were trying to make them feel better.
They made it to try to get you.
No, I think that's the answer that they said, but I think that it's both. I think that it was also a matter of them trying to explain away why some people were finding this in their ancestors.
You might have heroic ancestors who were like this man.
Correct.
Right.
So I try to sit there and we have this conversation, I feel like, too many times, where we've been talking about this on the show for a bunch of different reasons.
Every time it ends up the same conversation.
Right. And so that's why I'm going.
The same reason why it happened.
I do end up feeling like, like the apology does not ring true after a while, where we're going, well, they just didn't have enough people of color in the room. I do think that sometimes they know that this is something that might be offensive to people of color, but they don't care because their target still comes down to white persona culture.
There's so many powerful, like Black Twitter is a real thing.
But
and
until
it
pounds on you, you don't care. Because right now they're not making their money off of any of us.
Astounding.
Yep. But I agree with Shannon. I think, yes, there's ignorance for sure, but I think there's a big helping of willful ignorance.
I agree. And I can't continue to sit there and go, oh, it's fine. They didn't mean it. They didn't mean it. After a while, I'm like, oh, you meant it. Yep. You were coming at us.
They
I'm
made
like,
an entire ad.
Right.
And nobody was like, it's unbelievable.
I think that there was somebody who knew, and they were just like, it'll be fine.
Yep.
It'll be fine. Not enough of them are going to give that complaint about it, but it'll make enough of our target audience okay with this that it's worth it. Go ahead and run with it. We can get away with it. And then it turns out that they couldn't, but they still had more than, 23 million views on that whole thing.
I have to agree with you because you have to be right about this,
right?
Shannon.
Because now there's still a bunch of people that are out there going, oh, my great-grandfather wasn't a bad person. My great-grandfather was a hero. Right. Maybe not.
Gross.
Maybe not.
Right.
Maybe not. I'm not saying I don't know everybody's great-grandmother.
Ad ends with and then they get to Canada. Canada.
We can go someplace. We'll all be fine. I'm like, we may not all be fine. Yeah. We may not all be fine.
This is kind of like a hard turn, but I guess the question came out of this when we were just kind of discussing online whether we would talk about this. If any of us had been DNA tested, we know Shannon hasn't.
Nope.
Have you ever done this, Sam?
My mother did 23andMe a couple years ago and presented the results to us at Thanksgiving. And
as you should. Happy holidays, everyone. Here we go.
And was very proud that apparently a big part of our DNA was determined by a combination, according to the report, of Genghis Khan and Henry VIII, which is weird already.
Yes.
But, and this kind of will come back around to what these latest articles have been talking about the DNA testing. So my parents are English professors, so they're kind of excited, like, if we're related to Henry VIII, that's kind of cool. It's in alignment with us.
It doesn't tell you that.
Yes, it kind of
does
did.
not.
I think that they probably
did 23andMe. It doesn't say you're related to Henry VIII.
She did genetic testing that included 23andMe, so yes, she did.
And then it came back. I do think they do occasionally kind of go, and they go, if they can figure out a particular, because they did this with my friend. My friend was just so excited because she's like, look, I'm Jewish. And we're like, okay, stop. First of all, you don't even understand what you're saying. Right.
So that was the family Thanksgiving. In subsequent conversations I've had with other people who've done 23andMe, guess who they said that they were related to?
Henry VIII and
Genghis Khan.
Because they were prolific.
Right.
That's nuts.
So, and I think that just comes back to...
stop doing that.
Right. Well, I just think that comes back to the very narrow geographic spread that they use.
Fair enough.
To look at DNA for 23andMe, right?
Because my daughter just did a 23andMe. Mm-hmm. I've never done it. Nobody in my family's ever done it. I'm what do you call that? I don't even know if I'm first generation. I'm zero generation.
Okay.
My parents came from England and I came from Canada, and I took out I became an American myself after I turned 18.
Yes.
But it does this. Okay, so my daughter did it, and she's 100% European, 50% English, which makes sense because her grandparents are both from England. So I was like, this is boring. I told you it wasn't going to tell you anything, and that's why I'm not going to do it, because it's just going to tell me I'm 100% English. But it was accurate in the fact that it tells you when your people came, and it said that her generations from England was 0 to 1.
But that's also the thing that I think
Which
is
is
so.
like-
Why do we do this? Is because
It's
for
just going
me,
to tell you what you already know.
Yeah,
She's
and-
like, oh, so your parent, you're the direct line. I said, we know this. Unless I'm lying to you, and my parents